Hello and welcome to Keeping It Real with Rory. I'm Ben Cason here with Rory Huskin, the man, the myth, the legend, back in the studio. Rory, how you doing?
Hey, Ben, what's happening, Ben?
Not much. I'm just excited to have you back. You've been gone for a little bit. You've gone through a lot since last time we talked.
Oh my Lord, I think I went to hell and back. Yeah, that's what it actually felt like. So.
Interesting. Yeah, you had an experience with COVID.
I did. So for those who don't know, I was one of those big skeptics about COVID. You know, it's like it's just a scare tactic from the government. Whatever that I thought, but so I thought it was a joke until it wasn't. And I went and tested for COVID, and I came. So that was on a Thursday. On a Saturday morning at 6:30 in the morning, my doctor called and he said, "Rory, your test came back negative. No COVID, no antibodies."
Yeah.
And I said, "So I don't have it, and I've never had it yet, right?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, kind of."
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right." So that's a Saturday morning at 6:30 in the morning. Sunday night, I started feeling a little weird, a little bad, and I told my wife, "I think I'm sick." So, it wasn't that bad. And so, I actually went to the gym that week.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have, but, because it wasn't, that bad. I thought, maybe it's just a cold. Maybe it's just allergies.
Sure.
And I actually went and hit a bucket of golf balls at the golf course. And, so this is the next week. It's Tuesday of the next week, and I'm thinking, wow, this is just like ridiculous. I wish this, whatever it is, would, just leave me alone because it'd be good, and then I'd be bad, So on Tuesday morning, I was eating breakfast with a couple of my salesmen, one of the salespeople from Mountain Country, I just looked at one of my salesmen. I said, I'm going home. I don't really feel all that great. And it was just the day before, Monday, that I told my wife, I said, I think whatever this was, I think I beat it finally, And I was on antibiotics. I called my doctor, and he was giving me Z-Paks and prednisone. And actually, I'd called him and said, look, I'm out of the Z-Pak. And he goes, I'm going to prescribe you another one. Just do it, too. And so I'm thinking, well, I'm past it. Yeah, And so I go home Tuesday, and I got worse, and I got worse. And pretty soon, I was laying down, and then pretty soon I couldn't lay down. I was coughing, and it was getting difficult to breathe. And so I have a lounge chair in my room. Yeah. And I sat in the lounge chair, and it got worse and worse. I'm telling you, it was just like so quickly that it all happened. And at 2:00 in the morning, I woke my wife up, and I said, "Honey, I'm really struggling." And she goes, "What do you mean you're struggling?" She'd just seen me a few hours before, right? Yeah. And I can't breathe. And I told her, "Honey, I think that you should call the ambulance." Because I just don't think I'm going to make it. It was that bad, I was. Wow. By now, I'm really afraid, Yeah. And little did I know that I'd be a lot more afraid, even in a little while to come from that. So, so the ambulance came. You have to walk outside, and they took my saturation of my oxygen. It's a pulse ox they put on your finger. Yeah. And it came back, I think it was 65.
Wow. How much is it supposed to be?
96, 95, Yeah. So I couldn't breathe. And so the little AMR guy goes, well, they're probably just going to take you to the emergency room, observe you, kick you out. And I was like, well, okay. As long as I have oxygen and they give me oxygen, I think that I should be all right, you know, and medication. And he goes, well, they'll definitely do that. So I get to the emergency room, and they and by the way, I had my phone with me, and my wife shoved a charger in my pocket. So I get to the hospital. They take x-rays of my chest, and I hear one of the little gals go, oh, she's the... And I looked at her, I was like, wow, that bad? And you got to understand, I can't really talk. Yeah. It's more like a whisper, because I can't breathe. And she goes, oh, sorry. And another nurse came in a few minutes later and said, you're not going anywhere. You're going to the ICU for 3-4 days.
Wow.
And I really don't remember ICU. I remember it becoming real difficult to breathe and me being really afraid. I actually was panicking, and I kept telling them I'm panicking. And they tell me you need to relax. And I was like, yeah. And I was finally I was telling them I was pretty much screaming, you need to give me something for this panic. I'm panicking. I really thought that I was going to stop breathing. So they finally gave me some kind of sedative to relax me. Yeah. And but I don't remember ICU that much. On the 5th day, and I can't even remember what time it was of the day. I know it was 2:00. It could have been the morning. It could have been afternoon. I don't know.
Sure.
So they moved me to a room, and I started looking at myself, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm skinny. I've lost a lot of weight."
Yeah.
And so this is day 5, and I'm thinking, I can't remember. Did I eat? Because I didn't remember ICU.
Yeah.
And
so you didn't remember it even like a day after you got out of there. You weren't really.
Yeah, it was the day after, so it was the 5th day. So I'm in a regular room.
Yeah. And
I can't remember if I ate. And so, I'm hungry, but I'm not really that hungry. I'm really disturbed at the way I looked. I tell people like a week before I ended up in the hospital, I was thinking about doing a bodybuilding contest. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a gym rat.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking about doing a bodybuilding contest, and then the next week I'm fighting for my life. And so I was really disturbed about how skinny I'd gotten. And so, and I can't remember, but maybe it was the next day, day 6. And I'm talking to my wife, and I'm like telling her, I am starving. My stomach is, it's just growling. And so, of course, your loved ones can't come see you.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, I joke about I was in Parkview Correctional Facility. In solitary confinement because nobody can come in and nobody can see you. It's just it was the whole floor had COVID patients on it, so they had actually shut down a whole floor at the hospital just for COVID, and so they pretty much were keeping people out.
Yeah.
And if so anyway. I didn't see my wife at all, so she's panicking, right? So she calls them.
Sure. She's just been getting updates from the doctor over the phone, and
yeah. So she calls down there, and so a nurse comes in. She goes, "Honey, you got to use that phone and call down and get food."
Oh, okay.
And so I ordered food, but I realized food tasted like garbage. Yeah. So
because you had lost your taste from everything.
I don't know if I lost my taste. But it just tasted bad.
Interesting.
All I wanted was food, and so it tastes so bad. So I kind of learned, what to order, sweets, right? Because sweets tasted good, right?
Sure.
So peanut butter jelly sandwiches, those were staple. French toast.
Yeah.
They had these blueberry muffins or whatever they were, and they were really good. So yeah. So, I'm making light of everything, but it was terrifying. And honestly, I really thought that I wasn't going to make it. So, I'm ordained. I don't. A lot of people know. Some people don't. That I'm ordained. And then I come in and I speak about spiritual stuff all the time, and I go to the prisons and I try to help. I was a drug addict, alcoholic, and I try to help people. So a lot of people know that I'm, I believe in God a lot. So I was asked, so Rory, since you thought that you weren't going to make it, was there a peace about that? And I really had to think about that. It's like, was there a peace? I thought I was going to die, and was there a peace? And I'm like, no, there was no peace. I really felt like I was being waterboarded. So if you can imagine being waterboarded the whole time that you're you're laying there. There was no peace. And so, I kind of asked myself, am I ready? Am I ready if I have to go,
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those weird questions, I probably, all I could keep thinking is of the things that I still had yet to do, that my job wasn't finished,
Sure.
So it's just
That's
a weird
crazy.
story, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I got to tell you, I was terrified. One of the weird things is I'm hooked up to all these wires and these machines, and so they put me in this room. I'm like, well, how do I go to the bathroom? It hadn't happened up to that point.
Yeah.
So they throw me this bedpan thing. So I'm thinking, I don't know how that's going to work. I couldn't.
Yeah.
You'd stand up and then your whole world would start blacking out. All the bells and whistles on the machines would start screaming, and then they're busting through the door. By then I'm back on the bed, fighting for air. They had me on 30 liters. They had 15 liters in my nose and 15 on a mask. So, it was quite the experience. It was terrifying. Yeah.
So how was your wife do with not being able to come see you and with all this going on?
My wife's wow. My wife's a warrior. We do that Avondale, the blessings for Avondale, the Christmas blessings. And so I think it was 86 people or 86 kids. And they're Avondale Elementary School. Yeah. And we buy presents and we have Christmas for them, which normally is cookies and food. And, we have people cater and Santa Claus comes. And, because of the pandemic this year, it was all pretty much a drive-through assembly.
Sure.
However, I'm going to tell you that my wife and I have 2 daughters that live at home still. And then one of my sisters, my mom, they helped my sister, or they helped my wife shop. My wife shopped. And we spend approximately $200 a kid. So that's a lot of shopping.
Yeah.
And so I think to take her mind off of me being in the hospital, she single-handedly took that on and did it. I'm usually, helping her and right there beside her doing that. And I had no hand in it this year, zero. She actually collected the money, spent the money, she did it all. She wrapped. She got a hold of my guys at the office and had her help. They helped her load all that stuff up into one of the Cornerstone trailers and bring it down to Avondale Elementary. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so crazy. I think she needed that to take her mind off of where I was. And then I looked so bad. You saw the picture. I had this like Santa Claus beard going, I really don't look good as Santa Claus, but and what I really looked like was some homeless guy. And she wanted me to FaceTime her, and a poor girl, I wouldn't FaceTime her.
You were just like, didn't like the way you looked that way.
Yeah, I'm like, no, honey, I don't want to be seen like this. So,
So what was the recovery process like?
So they at day 25, which was December 18th, they said you're going home, and I was, that should make me happy, and I was like excited to be going home.
Yeah.
However, I was terrified. I knew that whatever oxygen that I needed to get up to do anything was more than the 6 liters that they were going to give me to go home on.
Yeah. Because you said you were at 30 at the...
Yeah, well, I had whittled myself down so I could make it on 4 liters if I was just doing nothing, sitting there. So, that's prerequisite. You have to be at like 4 liters for them to let you out.
Yeah.
And so I could sleep at that level and do nothing at that level. But once I engaged in just standing, as a matter of, then my oxygen would fall to... my saturation had fallen to almost 50 at times. It was like crazy. So it was terrifying. So they said, you're going home. And I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, they're going to make me go home. And I'm going to die at home. I'm telling you, it was just such a weird experience. Yeah. I'm one of those guys that I'm really not afraid of anything, I even did a devotional at the A Caring Pregnancy Center just a week or two before I ended up in the hospital. And I was telling them that, because of the COVID, a lot of people are afraid and I told them that I don't think that I'm afraid, with my past life and the drugs and alcohol, I feel that I've been to hell, I was in my own personal hell.
Sure.
And so I told them, once you've been to hell, what are you afraid of? And so I really wasn't afraid of COVID, but I can tell you today that COVID scares me. I was afraid. So I get home, I'm sitting in the driveway, I'm hooked up to this bottle of oxygen, and it literally took me 15 minutes to go the little, 50 steps it took to get into the house. I had to rest a lot of times, and
sure,
it was pretty crazy. So, I realized that the more active that I was, the less and less dependent on the oxygen that I was.
Yeah.
And so, I'm one of those guys that, you can't keep down, and my wife didn't want me to, but, I was home a week, and I was dragging this oxygen bottle to the barn where I have some weights, right?
Yeah.
And, I was lifting weights,
Yeah.
5-10 pounds, I'm used to doing 100-pound dumbbells. I was doing 5 and 10 pounds, but I felt that it was something, and it's all about recovery at that point, right? So my doctor told me, don't go to the gym for 2 weeks. Your immune system, make sure that it's all right. And so by 2 weeks, by the time the 2 weeks were up, I was back in the gym, and I'd carry one of those little Boost oxygen bottles you see at Dick's, for sale. Yeah. So,
Great.
You can't keep me down. So
absolutely, it's crazy to see. You showed me the pictures before you started. Obviously, how you were looking before, and then how you were looking then, and now you're back to looking great, and all of that so quickly. I think that's
Ben. Look, I got this little jacket on, but I don't know about great, because here's what happened. Food tasted so bad, I lost 36 pounds.
Wow.
When I was in hospital.
Yeah.
Even though I could eat at that point, I tried to eat. It tasted terrible. But somewhere along the line, the food started tasting all right again.
Good.
And maybe even good again, so maybe I overdid it with the food, so the weight that I put back on isn't like ideally what I want. So now I'm back in the gym, like on the treadmill, but I can tell you that. So today is Friday. It's been 6 weeks that I'm home, I think.
Yeah,
6.
That's all right. Yep.
And I'm still probably 90% recovery. You saw me. I just walked up the stairs a minute ago and had to catch my breath and huffing and puffing. So, I look forward to getting back to 100%.
Sure.
I just know that you just got to keep fighting through that. What surprises me the most, I think, is the it's the recovery system is so slow. It's fractions. I'm used to like getting stitches or something, because I'm usually my own demise. I'm jumping motorcycles, and you puncture a lung, in a couple of days you're better, right?
Yeah.
This isn't like that. It's so, we're talking, it's 10 weeks now. It's 2.5 months. I've been fighting this thing, and I'm definitely not back to 100%. So yeah,
it's good to see you on your way back, though.
Yeah,
it's
thanks.
Good. I'm glad. We were all worried about you for sure. I mean, it's a crazy, just the way that it hits people. Like, obviously, you're a guy, you're in better shape than I am. But like, whenever it hit me, I was over it in 2 days. Just for whatever reason, it's just different. It's just different. It hits people different.
So I've learned a little bit about the virus at this point, and so it has to do a lot with heredity, apparently. Maybe blood types or something, but it's what really got me was the pneumonia part, and then normally pneumonia is like fluid in your lungs.
Yeah.
The weird thing about that, it wasn't that kind of pneumonia. It was kind of inflammation pneumonia. So,
gotcha.
My lungs were so inflamed that the oxygen couldn't penetrate the walls. So, and it wasn't about the fluid. So just kind of a weird deal. But anyway,
that's crazy. Yeah. Can you kind of speak to what it was like having all the community support you had? Because you had a lot of people that were praying for you, thinking about you. I mean, what was that like?
It was overwhelming. Sorry.
Oh, you're okay.
It was overwhelming. Yeah, I had literally thousands. I don't know.
Yeah.
I had people calling me every day. I had people literally, Carmen Avalos, if you're listening, she drove around that hospital 7 times every day praying for me,
Wow.
So it's I had ex-sheriffs calling me, I had, it was just amazing, the people that were reaching out and that were concerned, and it was overwhelming, I don't even know how to express it. You'd probably have to see the tears coming down my face right now to understand.
Yeah.
So the outreach was crazy. People are still calling me, and texting me, Rory, how are you?
Yeah.
We're so glad that you made it and that you're back, and it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I love my community. The friends, the acquaintances that we've made, business and personal. Pueblo's just a great community to be from, to be a part of. We just did a ribbon cutting for ACPC. It was great.
Yeah.
I thought that one of the great things about that is, so I'm the president of the Pueblo West Chamber, and my executive director for the Pueblo West Chamber maybe had contacted somebody that tested positive, so she wasn't able to come, and I was initiating that ribbon cutting for her.
Yeah.
And so, there was Garrison Ortiz was there, and Steve Trujillo with the Latino, and Phyllis from the Greater Chamber. When she got up to talk, and she turned around and she goes, and we're so happy that Rory's back, and I thought, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's my family, that's my community. I wouldn't want to be any place else and have COVID or anything, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, from the community, you mean a lot to the community. Just everything that you're doing when it comes to just you're reaching out. I talked to a lot of people from FCA that you're involved in with Pueblo West Chamber. We had Amy on here. I mean, everybody, you've done a lot in this community, and I think this community loves you. So we're really glad that you're back.
Well, maybe I can run for city council or something.
Maybe you can.
I don't think so.
Why not?
I've had a couple of them tell me, that's what they need. So I think there's probably better people to do that. Like I would nominate Matt Smith.
Yeah, maybe get at that. Add that to his plate.
Right.
You guys. That's cool. Sweet. Yeah, I mean.
We'd make a good team, right?
You guys do make a good team. Yeah, I remember we did that podcast with you guys a few months back whenever we had you guys both in here and you guys were just talking about public community. That was great. I love that.
It's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I like the insight that, and then Pueblo's going to be, hopefully, I've seen some of the plans, for Pueblo. It's growing, it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's a long time coming, we deserve it, Pueblo. I mean, we deserve the growth, and, we need a couple of new restaurants in Pueblo West. If you hear me talking,
Go do that.
So, it bummed me out a little bit that Culver's went to South Pueblo instead of Pueblo West. I'm kidding you.
That's funny. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. That's cool. So can you kind of speak for a second about what is Cornerstone's involvement in the community? I know you guys do a lot. Can you just talk about how important the community is to Cornerstone Roofing?
So look, I believe that it's our community that makes us who we are. Business, personally, if you treat your community wrongly, that's what they're going to remember. Cornerstone, our tagline is integrity is the cornerstone of our business. And look, do we make mistakes? Of course we do. It's we always try to right those wrongs.
Sure.
That's integrity. And really integrity means doing the right thing and when no one's looking. So, and that's what, I go to the prisons and I teach integrity, doing the right thing, being transparent. But so Cornerstone is the vehicle that's allowed me to give back to our community and become the person that I am today. So, yeah. That's so awesome. It's a union, it's of the community and the business. So, yeah. It takes, I don't know.
Yeah. No,
it's hard for me to explain it.
Sure. Yeah. It's very symbiotic between everything.
I guess nobody's really ever said, "Hey, Rory, what is it about Cornerstone that, but, yeah.
That's awesome. And then are you feeling healthy enough to be able to sing? Are you able to get back to that at some point?
So you guys, Wake Up Pueblo is coming to my house on Saturday, and I've got a live Facebook performance. Some of my music, the Jeffrey Allen Band will be there.
Cool.
So we try to get a couple other bands as well. It's going to be fun.
Good to hear.
I haven't... I've been to a couple of practices and rehearsals, and they've gone pretty good. You kind of hear that I'm a little hoarse.
Yeah.
So I think that's some of the recovery that I still need to do. And
sure.
So if you hear me crack some of the high notes,
you got a good excuse.
Yeah, I got a good excuse. So
awesome, sweet. Hey, thanks, Rory, for talking about all that story. We appreciate you, man.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for letting me come here and rattle on.
Absolutely, and we're all just so glad that you're back. And
thanks, Ben.
Very, very, proud of you for making it through that. That's crazy. Yeah.
Thanks, Ben.
Absolutely. This has been Keeping It Real with Rory. We'll be having more episodes of this. Check it out right here on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube. Go check out Cornerstone Roofing, all the great stuff that they're doing, fixing up a lot of the houses here in town. As you mentioned, symbiotic relationship between Cornerstone and the community. Go check out as well Rory Huskin, all of his music. You can find that. Where can you find that music at?
You can go to RoryHuskinmusic.com.
Okay.
And it's you can click on one of the medias there, the streaming medias.
Yeah.
And we're on all of them.
Perfect.
Spotify, iTunes, Amazon.
Yeah, go listen to him. He's got a great voice.
It's pretty cool. I wake up in the morning, I tell the radio play the top songs of Rory Huskin, and there I am. I could do
That's awesome.
I could say George Strait or anything and it would pop up just like mine. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, go check all that stuff out. Thank you so much, Rory. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Ben.
And thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day.